What do you think about when you hear the word Mauritania? Deserts? Slavery? Big, beautiful women? Sure, all those things exist, but they aren't what surprised me the most in the country. In this video, we will explore the top 5 culture shocks you will get when you visit this unusual West African country. Make sure to subscribe to this channel for more raw, unfiltered content about Africa. Number 1. The happiness. I'm not gonna lie, I expected Mauritanians to be as harsh and intimidating as the Sahara Desert they inhabit, but my preconceptions were totally wrong. Ça va? Parlez-vous anglais?
Oui.
You speak English?
Yes, I do speak English
Okay,
very well.
say hi to the Americans.
I love you. I love
Great.
Americans. My brother is so American.
Wow,
I
awesome.
love the Americans so much.
Out of all the people I've visited in Africa, Mauritanians were the most fun. Everywhere I went, people were joyful, laughing, cracking jokes, and overall excited to see the camera. Many of them had an almost childlike innocence, and there didn't seem to be a cloud of suspicion and hostility that I often experience when filming in other African countries. The people were also warm and friendly towards each other. The Mauritanian men in particular stood out. They were very brotherly and affectionate, greeting each other warmly and often hugging and holding hands while walking together in public. Unlike in the West, male friendship is still prized in Islamic countries, and many of these guys are linked together by clan and tribal bonds that go back hundreds, if not thousands of years. But perhaps what surprised me the most was the people's attitude about America. While Mauritania is a nominally francophone country, many of the people speak excellent English and seem to really love the United States. Okay.
Oh my God, you speak good English.
You speak very good English.
How do you know?
Are you American yourself?
Me?
Yes.
Not at all.
I think you are.
Hey man, how do you open that camera?
No.
Do you speak any other languages not English?
Je parle un peu de français, mais c'est tout.
Is that guy your nigga who helping you to
Don't call me nigga, man. I'm Senegalese, original, bro.
Senegalese?
Yeah, sure. I'm from Dakar.
Sure.
I'm sure, yes.
No, his guy was born, I think he born in Philadelphia.
Philadelphia? Really?
Yeah.
From the moment I crossed the border, people spoke about the United States with a great deal of respect and reverence. They also really liked President Donald Trump. They gave me an easy time at border crossings and checkpoints, and I don't think it was about money because no one asked me for a bribe to do their jobs, although they made it clear that gifts were always appreciated. Number 2. The cultural preservation. When you visit Mauritania, you feel like you're going back 30 or 40 years into the past, and that's an incredible feeling in a world that is slowly becoming a blob of westernized urban monoculture. Here, everything is old. The most popular car is the Mercedes 190D, first produced in 1983, and the people work hard to preserve their unique cultural identity against all the odds. The most visible example of this is in clothing. The women wear a loose, bedsheet-like robe called the melefa, which is designed to emphasize modesty. You will almost never see a Moorish woman wearing anything else unless she is a foreigner. The men have something called the dara, which is typically in blue or white. This robe is a massive status symbol in the country. My local guides told me that the dara gives its wearers access and respect in all parts of society, and on public transport, I often saw people getting up to give their seats to older men wearing this traditional robe. Mauritania's culture is uniquely preserved because although the country was nominally colonized by France, almost all its population was nomadic at that time, so they had minimal contact with outsiders. Their isolation allowed them to maintain their ancient way of life in this harsh desert until the country's independence in 1960.
Yeah. From Atlanta to Nouakchott, I'm in Wales.
But Mauritanian women take cultural preservation even further than the men. Number 3 and 4, the female culture. If you are a fat woman, Mauritania is paradise. In this culture, the beauty standards are totally inverted from the West. Here, big is beautiful. The bigger the better. Stretch marks are a plus, and instead of hitting the wall, women are believed to get more attractive with age and experience. These norms will invoke cognitive dissonance in many Westerners, who are usually brainwashed into seeing women as having no agency or control over the societies they inhabit. That mindset is totally incorrect everywhere, but especially in Mauritania. Here, women play a clear and direct role in shaping cultural norms by exerting social pressures and rites of passage passed down from their ancestors. The most famous of these is the leblau, or force-feeding ceremony, designed to help upper-class women gain weight. They typically gorge on massive amounts of relatively healthy food like dates, milk, and grain, which makes the process much more difficult than it would be if they use modern processed foods like chocolate or soda. Does she enjoy this food?
lekk bi ku jigéen ki ndax lii neex na si moom.
ndax bu koy lekk da si kontaan.
So it's sometimes not good. That's why she's like pinching her nails so that to force her to eat it.
Pinching her nails, what do you mean?
Like you see the stick he putting in between her feet.
This practice will seem cruel to outsiders, but it is essential to accept that these women have agency and look at things from the local perspective. Leblau is not just about impressing men. Mauritanian culture developed in the middle of the Sahara Desert, where famine and hunger were a constant threat. Under such conditions, fat women would have survived better than their skinny counterparts. The people in rural areas still seem to associate high body fat with good health, and many of them see force-feeding their daughters in the same sense as giving them bitter yet beneficial medicine. The practice also serves as a rite of passage that helps the women bond over shared hardship and fit in with their peers. Despite the body positivity culture, Mauritanian women may have the highest female life expectancy in mainland West Africa at 70.5 years. That's 6 years higher than Nigeria and almost the same level as black men in the United States. I credit this to their low-stress lifestyle and clean organic food. If you thought the last part was crazy, the next part will blow your mind. Mauritania's unique female culture isn't limited to obesity and force feeding. The country also has an extremely high divorce rate, which makes it unusual even among its peers in North Africa and the Middle East. Statistics are difficult to come by, but sociologists estimate that Mauritania may have the highest divorce rate in the world, with some women leaving their husbands 5 or even 10 times. The most remarkable thing is that this carries absolutely no social stigma in the community, and often the women get together to throw divorce parties to celebrate their separation.
This is all for Teslem, who almost looks like a bride. Parties usually take place 3 months after a divorce is finalised to make sure the woman isn't pregnant. From tomorrow, she can remarry. How many times have you done this and how many times have you been divorced? And she's just 26.
These parties help the female community bond and signal that a lady is available for new suitors. While news of these parties was once carried through caravans and trade routes, the women now share their single status on social media.
Lady, the wife, has the right to take everything.
Everything?
Like the looks, the beds, everything in the house. She has that right.
All the money?
Not the money, but the materials.
Oh,
like
okay.
The beds, the living room, everything in the house. She has the right to take it.
Okay.
So when they took it now, usually they bring it to this market to sell it to get the money, to get money from it.
Okay.
That's why we call this market the widow market.
Yeah. The country even has a divorced women's market located in the capital Nouakchott, where the women sell the property they got from previous marriages. In another remarkable social norm, many Mauritanian men consider divorced women to be even more attractive than virgins because of their maturity, experience, and material wealth taken from previous husbands. Women, on the other hand, prefer inexperienced men who have never been married before. So why does Mauritania have such an unusual culture? Sociologists believe the people have retained semi-matriarchal traditions from their pre-Arab Amazigh ancestors. Just like the force-feeding, this was preserved by the isolated nomadic lifestyle. And unlike in neighboring countries like Senegal or Mali, most Mauritanian women absolutely do not tolerate polygamy, even though this is technically permitted in Islam. While some men may secretly marry second wives from other cultures, his original wife usually finds out and divorces him. The women often set the rules of their marriage from the start and aren't afraid to leave if these conditions aren't met. Before colonialism, the people of Mauritania called themselves Trab al-Bidan, or the Land of Whites, probably as a way to distinguish themselves from the black African groups surrounding them. The ruling class here claims to be the descendants of Arab conquerors who migrated to this region during the medieval era, dominating and mixing with the earlier Amazirs to create a new Moorish identity. They also enslaved the black indigenous population to create a new ethnicity called Haratin, who share their Hassaniya Arabic language and culture. The word Haratin loosely translates to freed person or farmer, but some people believe the Haratin are still enslaved. If you do any research on Mauritania, the topic of slavery is one of the first things you will see. And the reports in Western media are shocking. For example, CNN calls the country slavery's last stronghold and cites a claim that 10 to 20% of the population is currently under bondage. However, when I spoke to actual black Mauritanians, I was shocked to learn that most of them disagreed. Okay, so who am I speaking with?
With Fatima.
And so you told me that you are a Moor.
Yes.
What does it mean to be a Moor?
You are a Moor when you are part of Mauritania.
Okay. And so when people hear about Mauritania, they think of slavery. Is that real over there?
It's not that real. As I told you yesterday.
It's not that real.
There is someone.
As I told you yesterday, there is someone in the house who will be like helping. But this is not slavery.
In general, the black Moors don't seem to hold any resentment or animosity towards their white counterparts, instead seeming to see them more as distant kin instead of hostile oppressors. They tell me that what outsiders often confuse for slavery is actually a system of voluntary service practiced even among the black people in their own groups. Now, what about the Mauritania that have the whites and the blacks? Is that true?
Not at all. Like, people think that we have white and black, but we don't have it. We mix. They are mixed. You see me, and I am black, and my mom is mixed between Senegalese and Mauritanian Moor.
But was your mother one of the white ones?
No, she's not. She's black.
So there's no difference between the...
There is no difference. People might think that because older Mauritanians were thinking like that, like Arabic people. But now, not at all.
Oh, now you're saying that the Mexican
They are both equal. Like, they don't mind if you are white or if you are black, but in the past, maybe they would mind. But for now, no. I don't think so. I just go there sometimes, but I don't live there.
My own observations confirm that the situation may be more complicated than the white versus black dynamic Western sociologists may have imported from their own societies. For starters, the people of Mauritania are highly mixed. Often it is unclear where to draw the line between the so-called black and white Moors. And while there is extensive use of maids and domestic workers, in many cases these people can look very similar to their patrons, especially among nomadic communities in the southern part of the country.
The first people we spoke with told us in plain terms that they were living in slavery.
When they say they're exploited, what do they mean by that?
But when the government minders realized what we were up to, our guide had to try to distract them while we continued the conversation.
So we are among the people.
So the only locusts in country is the ones that you have in captivity?
We are also exploited.
A short distance away, we spotted a group of lighter-skinned people who we thought might be their slave masters. Most slave families in Mauritania consist of darker-skinned people whose ancestors were captured by lighter-skinned Arabs centuries ago. Many of those ties remain intact. It was impossible for us to discuss the matter openly. But this man told us he doesn't pay his darker-skinned workers, and their situation seemed obvious.
Even in cases where there is a significant color difference between patrons and their workers, the black and white Moors usually interact with each other with great familiarity and warmth, although this admittedly doesn't mean much. Non-Haratan black Africans such as Fulani, Wolof, and Soninke, who make up around 30% of the population, take a much more critical look at these dynamics. They accuse the Haratan of mental slavery and claim that some can't even speak in the presence of a white Moor. Furthermore, they suggest that the various heavily mixed groups are not actually part of the country's Hassani Arab elite. But even they told me that explicitly forced slavery is not common in the country and most people work voluntarily. However, while forced, color-based slavery in Mauritania doesn't seem to be as extensive as the way it is presented in media, that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I have seen at least one example firsthand. We were at a shop in Nouakchott when an extremely pale Moorish woman exited an SUV. Behind her was a black girl in her late teens, carrying an even paler, hazel-eyed baby. Unlike most of the Moors, these two didn't seem to have any sense of friendship or familiarity in their interactions. They also didn't seem to be mixed at all. The black girl's face was covered in bruises, and her eyes carried the same dull expression you would see in an abused workhorse or donkey. It's hard to describe if you haven't seen it, but she seemed to have no emotions or awareness of her surroundings. After we finished shopping, we ended up checking out at the same time. And as my guide teased the white Arab baby, the young woman had absolutely no reaction. She stared straight ahead, and her eyes were glazed over like a zombie or a robot. She was moving, yes, but there were absolutely no signs of life. As they left the shop and returned to their car, some bystanders muttered in Wolof, "That one is a real slave."